Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a story that is just wild. A story that feels like it could only happen in the age of social media. It's a tale of viral fame, of a self-proclaimed philanthropist, and a crash and burn so spectacular it left millions wondering what was real and what was just for the camera.
So picture this, it's 2020. The whole world is going into lockdown and nobody knows what's coming next. And then, out of nowhere, this charismatic guy pops up on social media in the Philippines. He presents himself as this modern-day Robin Hood, a real champion for the poor. He seemed to be exactly what people were desperate for, but was any of it real?
He really burst onto the scene with this thing he called the Mayaman challenge. And it was basically a direct dare to all the wealthy people in the Philippines. The message was super simple. Hey, if you've got money, you have a responsibility to help out the people who just lost everything because of the pandemic. And wow, did that message land.
And when I say it landed, I mean it exploded. His very first video about the challenge racked up over 9 million views on Facebook alone before it was even taken down. It was insane. In just a few weeks, Francis Leo Marcos became this huge internet personality, a viral sensation built entirely on the promise of giving back.
And according to him, this wasn't some new hobby. Oh no. He claimed he'd been a philanthropist for more than a decade. He'd talk about things like his Optimum Eye Care program, which gave away eyeglasses to people in need. It was all part of this carefully built image, you know? The long-time, dedicated public servant.
But all that charity work? That wasn't even his biggest claim to fame. Nope. The real secret sauce to his sudden influence was something much, much bigger. His last name, and the incredible power that name carries in the Philippines.
See, he didn't just happen to share the name. He claimed a direct blood connection. He spun this whole story about how, when he was 17, his mother sat him down and revealed that he was part of the political dynasty of the late President Ferdinand Marcos. A claim like that, well, it gave him this instant air of power and legitimacy.
But there was a huge problem with his story. While he was out there building his entire brand on this powerful name, the Marcos family themselves came out and publicly shut him down. In a formal statement, former First Lady Imelda Marcos said he was, quote, not connected in any way to her family. And boom, that was the first major crack in his public persona.
So, that denial from the Marcos family blew the whole thing wide open. It raised this massive question. If he's not a Marcos, then who on earth is this man who had millions of people hanging on his every word?
Well, as his fame skyrocketed, so did the scrutiny. The National Bureau of Investigation, the NBI, started digging into his past, and what they found was a completely different identity, a name the public had never, ever heard before.
That's the name. According to the official investigation, his real, registered birth name is Norman Mangusan. The whole Francis Leo Marcos identity, the very thing that had made him famous, appeared to be a total fabrication.
And once that name was out, his entire life story just started to completely unravel. Suddenly, nothing added up. His birthplace was different depending on which document you looked at. He claimed he graduated from MIT in the US, but guess what? The university had absolutely no record of him. He called himself the CEO of the Marcos Group of Companies, a company that, it turns out, didn't even exist. His personal story just swung wildly between him being from a powerful family and him growing up dirt poor.
Discovering his real name wasn't just about a few conflicting stories, though. It was like pulling a thread that unraveled a whole tangled web of serious legal problems that had been attached to the name Norman Mangusan for years. A lot of the first charges the NBI filed against him had to do with this very specific law. You see, the Philippines has a strict anti-alias law. You can't just create a fake name and use it for public and business dealings. Authorities alleged that his use of Francis Leo Marcos was a criminal act designed to build a fraudulent identity.
And these legal issues were not new. They stretched all the way back to 2006. His viral fame in 2020 basically just put a giant spotlight on everything. All of a sudden, he's arrested for breaking the optometry law, then he's hit with charges for his alias and his passport, and it just kept escalating until a court denied him bail on an even more serious trafficking charge. He even got disqualified from running for the Senate, branded a nuisance candidate.
I mean, just look at this list. The charges against him are extensive and incredibly serious. They range from things related to his fake identity and his charity, to fraud, and then most disturbing of all, qualified human trafficking, which is a non-bailable offense, and that tells you just how severe the justice system considers.
The details of that human trafficking charge are really grim. The case alleges that he recruited several women, promising them good jobs as entertainers in places like Cyprus and Turkey, only for them to be forced into prostitution once they arrived.
So what's his side of the story? Well, Marcos, or Mangusin, has consistently denied everything. His defense is that he's the real victim here, that he's being persecuted by powerful people who were offended by his Mayaman challenge, and this is all just a conspiracy to silence him.
And this brings us right to the heart of this whole saga. How do you reconcile these two completely different pictures? The beloved internet philanthropist on one side, and the man facing a mountain of criminal charges on the other.
So why did so many people believe in him? You really have to think back to that moment in time. It was a crisis, and he showed up with this simple, powerful story. He was the rich guy who cared, the powerful figure who wasn't afraid to call out the establishment to help regular people. His followers saw a hero, and they ran with it. They even wanted him to run for senator.
You know, as one commenter online put it, desperate times create the perfect breeding ground for these kinds of saviors. When people are scared and they're looking for hope, they're just more vulnerable to charismatic figures who offer easy answers no matter what's actually hiding beneath the surface. He gave them a character they could rally behind.
Ultimately, the story of Francis Leo Marcos, or Norman Mangusin, is really a modern cautionary tale. It shows just how fast a persona can be built and magnified by social media, completely blurring the line between philanthropy and performance, between a public hero and a private suspect. And it leaves us all with a final, really important question to think about in our own digital lives.